Hello, my friends. This is a gentle yoga class focusing on your wrists, neck, and shoulders. Very therapeutic, great for beginners. Try to have a blanket and 2 blocks if you have them nearby. Let's get started. To begin, come and sit on a block. So you'll place the block the long way between your heels, like so. You can just sit on down, and I suggest having a blanket underneath your knees as well for some just additional padding. Just make sure the knees are emanating directly from the hip points. We'll just take a moment to ground in here together. Close the eyes. Feel the sitting bones drop into the block. And feel the tailbone lengthen towards the center of the block. Navigate your abs up and in slightly. See if you can lever your hip bones more towards your chin. With the palms face down on the thighs, just allow yourself to fully land in this moment. The richness of this present now. So you're ready, you can take a deep breath in, filling up, belly, ribs, chest, inhaling all the way. Exhaling, nose or mouth. Again, breathing in, filling up. Exhaling, nose or mouth, let it go. Once more, inhale to your fullest capacity. So get wider as you breathe in, fill up all the way. Exhaling, nose or mouth, release. Bring the hands to prayer now. Take the thumbs right at the center of the chest. This is a devotional gesture we're in, so press the thumbs into the chest. Feel the sternum rise to meet the thumbs and keep the sits bones rooted down. Set any solid intention for this practice. You can just set the simple intention of self-discovery or slowing down, or anything that's personal to you. 2 deep breaths here, hands in prayer. Breathe in. We'll raise this prayer above the head together. So inhale, reach up. You can look up. As you exhale, take the right hand to the right knee and come into a simple spinal twist, left hand behind you. Turn that right palm the opposite way we normally do. So the palm faces out and the back of the hand is on the knee. And then inhale, get tall. Exhale, twist deeper. So maybe bending that right elbow, really spiraling into the twist. Shoulders relax, big breath in. Big breath out to twist. Good, breathing in. Breathing out. Staying in this twist, I want you to think of navigating your low ribs towards the space below your navel. So there's a little bit more length in your low back, maybe a little bit more of a twist. Every inhale you get long, every exhale think low ribs, move towards the hips and twist a little deeper. Last breath. Good, and then inhale, reach the arms up at center. Let the inhale create the arms sweeping up, and then exhale, hands through prayer, just returning the thumbs to heart center. Deep breath in here, breastbone meets thumbs. Deep breath out, nose or mouth. One more, inhaling. Exhale completely. Good. Inhale, reach up, sweep up. Exhale, take the left hand to the left knee this time. So coming into the twist the opposite way, right hand behind you. And once again, instead of holding the thigh, we'll take the palm face out, the back of the hand onto the thigh to initiate this twist. You can bend the left elbow a little bit. Inhale, get tall. Exhale, rededicate those sits bones to the block. So think hips moving up towards chin, even in the twist. Every inhale lengthens the spine, breathing in, sipping in a lot of air. Every exhale, draw the abs in, twist deeper. Good, layering on. Inhale, length. Staying in the twist, just want you to think of your lowest ribs now, moving to the space below your navel. Low ribs move to space below your navel. So it's like your low ribs and the tops of your hips are hugging towards one another, and see what that does to the twist, just following your inhales and your exhales. Last breath. Good, and then inhale, come back to center, untwist. Arms touch above the head as you breathe in. Exhale, draw a prayer down center line. As you breathe out, good. Take the arms wide in a T shape now. We'll make some circles with the wrists. So take the thumbs in and just circle the wrists. Keep your breathing steady. Keep drawing the shoulder blades down the back. Good, and now twist the wrists in opposite directions, so circles the opposite way. Just lubricating the wrist joint with a lot of space. Good, and then turn it so your thumbs would be towards the ceiling if you stuck them out, but keep them tucked in. And you're just gonna imagine you're holding a pitcher or the handle of a pitcher and just pour the water out of the pitcher now. So you should feel a stretch along the thumb side of the wrist on each side. Deep breaths here. Just finding your gentle inhale and exhale. Good. Last breath. Good, and then make some circles once again. Take the thumb outside of the hands now and just open and close the palms a few times. Good. And now interlace your hands in front of you so fingers will weave together. Inhale, open the chest, palms face up towards the ceiling, maybe arch back. And exhale, flip your knuckles towards me. Imagine you were punched in the stomach and just round. Good. Inhale, flip the palms up. And exhale, flip knuckles towards me and round. So you should really feel the sits bones teeter-tottering on the block. Two more. Inhale, opening. And exhale, rounding. Good. Come off the block. I want you to keep the blanket, so you'll take the blanket into the center of the mat, so it's underneath your knees. Spread through the fingers. Tops of the feet on the floor. Draw the navel in. Curl the toes under. Inhale, up cat. Shoulders back, heart opens. Exhale, down cat to round. Inhale, up cat. Exhale, down cat round. A few more. Trust your own breath, trust your own movement, really ripple through the spine. And then we'll see if we can slow it down a little bit more, move with even more intentionality, really carving out the air. So listen for my call. Breathe in, up cat, out to round. Hold the rounding. Breathe in, up cat. Breathe out to round. So we're just looking for some little pauses. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. Come to a neutral cat now. You're going to come down onto your forearms. So place the forearms onto the ground. Extend the legs long behind you. We're coming into forearm plank. So this is gentle yoga. It doesn't mean we don't get to work our core a little bit. We're not going to be here very long. So extend the legs behind you. Notice if your seat is kind of too far up or sagging down. Try to get the seat, the hips in line with the shoulders. Breathe into the space between your shoulder blades here. And all I want you to think about is the low ribs moving towards your hips. So the low ribs navigate towards the space below your navel. Heel to crown of head is this long line of energy. We're here for 4 more breaths. A little shaking and quivering is good. Squeeze the inner thighs together. Press the heels back. And then just think more. Low ribs move towards the space below your navel for 3, 2, 1. Gently lower to the floor. Back up if you need to so your hips are on the blanket. Rest. Take the forehead onto the palms of the hands. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Take the arms long alongside you. Forehead on the mat. Breathe in, just reach the fingertips back as you keep the feet pressing on the mat and find a little Shalabhasana. Good. Now in your Shalabhasana, stay here, stay lifted. Feet can stay on the floor. As you extend the fingertips back, even in the back bend, I want you to think of your low ribs moving to the space below your navel. So it should feel like you're doing forearm plank, even though we're in Shalabhasana. And then lengthen from your occiput, the space where your hairline meets your neck, all the way from your heels. So heels to occiput is long. So you may need to dip the chin a little bit to find that length out the back of the neck. Last breath here. Exhale, hands underneath the shoulders. Press back, child's pose, and cheat it so you have your knees on the blanket. Forehead on the mat. Big breath into the low back. Exhaling completely. Good. And come back up onto all fours. We're going to come into a new variation I've been playing with. It's a really delicious shoulder stretch. So you may be familiar with puppy pose, where we keep the seat above the line of the hips. So you can take this with me for a couple breaths. Definitely feels nice. If you're there, just hug your ribs away from the floor. So notice if your low back and kind of mid back overly arched and collapsed, just navigate those things away from the mat. Good, and then for the variation, what's gonna happen is you're gonna bend the left elbow, so the left elbow's solidly on the floor here, and you're just gonna come into that same puppy shape, but you're gonna feel an extra nice stretch under the right armpit because we're keeping the right arm long. So a lot going on here, seemingly simple pose. Lengthen your tailbone back. You can look at your knees here, so notice if your hips are kind of wobbling off to either the left or right side. Zipper your ribs in so the navel lifts. So again, you're not sticking the booty out, you're really lengthening the low back, pulling the ribs away from the floor. And that's also where you're gonna find the nicest, deepest stretch under that right armpit. Drop into your breath here. Think of pulling the right hip away from the right shoulder. Equal weight in the knees. Inner thighs energetically hugging towards one another, belly hugging up and in. Last breath. Good. And then turn the left fingertips towards the right side of the mat. Turn the palm face up. And you can just slide that left hand now underneath the right to take it into a twist. Maybe bend the right elbow. Twist a little deeper. Squeeze the inner thighs together. And last breath. Good. Come back to center. We'll ripple through an up cat. And we'll ripple through a down cat to round. Up cat. Breathing out, down cat. Melt into your child's pose. Deep breath here. Really see if you can fire up that ujjayi breath in and out through the nose. Constriction at the back of the throat. And then walk the hands towards the knees. We're gonna come up to sort of stand on the knees. Inhale, reach the arms up. It's gonna be like a devotional gesture. And then exhale, you're gonna come into that twist we worked on before. So you can take left hand to right knee or the other way and just come into your twist as you exhale. We'll do this moving on the vinyasa. Inhale, prayer. Exhale, twist. And breathing in. So when I say breathing in, you can just know that means to come to prayer. Breathing out, carve the air with your hands, sink back into your twist. And breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. And breathing out. And breathing in. This time, hands through heart center, trace the face, trace the body as you sit. Thumbs at sternum, breathe in. See and feel your intention. Exhale, let the shoulders melt down the back. Good. Breathe in, return to your all fours. Breathe out, descend to puppy pose. We'll take the variation second side. So hips are over the knees. This time we'll bend the right elbow. So the right elbow is directly under the shoulder. And we'll reach the arm forward. Going for that kind of under the armpit stretch on the left side. So you may find that one side's a lot more intense than the other. So much going on here.
Seemingly simple pose, there's a lot going on. Make sure the weight is equal in your knees. Look at your knees on the blanket. See what's happening. Lengthen your tailbone back in space. So imagine my hands are on your hips, kind of pulling you back energetically, right? The hip bones stay stacked over the knees, but there's that energetic lengthening of the tailbone back as your left fingertips really creep and reach forward. Search for that stretch underneath the left armpit. And then hug your abs up and in, away from the floor. Knit your rib cage away from the floor. And just breathe into whatever you're feeling. And let the breath really envelop the whole body from the inside out as you breathe in. And just retract and saturate the stretch on the breath out. And last one. Good. And then take the right forearm, right fingertips so they face the left side of the mat. Turn the fingertips face up and then slide that right hand over to the left for your thread the needle twist second side. You can always bend the left elbow, pressing the left hand into the floor outside your face to make this a deeper twist. Hug the abs in and then spiral chest to ceiling. Last 2 breaths. Good. On an inhale, come back to all fours. Inhale, up cat. Exhale, now coming into our down dog with super bent knees. So spread all the fingers apart. Press the knuckles into the mat. Keep the knees deeply bent, heels off the mat. Just press the torso towards the thigh bones. And then very slowly play with straightening one leg and then the other. No rush. Just feeling through the body. And we'll articulate this a little bit. I want you to just rise onto your tippy toes, bend the knees really deeply, and then take your ears in line with your biceps. So maybe that's something your crown of head points straight towards the floor. Bring the ears in line with the biceps, and then tilt your sitting bones up to the ceiling even more. And then play with slowly lengthening the back of the legs and maybe melting the heels towards the floor. Keep the ears in line with the biceps. Maybe a deeper stretch down the backs of the legs here. Last 2 breaths. Final breath. And we'll do that once more, just rising to the tippy toes, heels high off the mat. Bending the knees as deep as possible, as if the knees were going to touch the blanket. Bringing the ears in line with the biceps, so making that connection so you feel like your head is tracking directly between the biceps, elbows, forearms, and then tilt the sitting bones towards the ceiling. So imagine you want it to shine the underside of your sits bones to where the back wall meets the ceiling. Get more length in the spine like that. Really stick the seat up. And then slowly let that straighten the legs and melt the heels back towards the floor. Or the legs can stay bent. This is the pose. This is all we're doing. Breathe here for 4 more breaths. If the heels are towards the floor and the legs are straight, play with lifting the toes off the mat. So look at your toes and just see them lift. Maybe deeper stretch in the back of the hamstrings, back of the Achilles tendon. Last breath. drop the knees back down to the floor. You're gonna take your blocks in front of you. It can be really on any height. You'll need to experiment for this next part to find the height that's best for you. You sink the hips into a child's pose, and then we're gonna put our elbows on the block with our biceps hanging off the block, taking our hands into prayer to melt into a bicep stretch here. So see what feels best for you. You could always have the blocks on a lower height. And remember, you're gonna need to adjust, right? We're not all the same, and you're gonna need to experiment in your practice to feel where the blocks need to be. So again, this is our slow, gentle practice. So take your time to get it set up just right. And then fuse the hands to prayer. And then just let the chest melt and be heavy. Just enjoying the bicep stretch. Even in this bicep stretch where we're seemingly in child's pose and not that much is going on, I want you to think of your low ribs moving towards the space below your navel. So you're kind of like overly rounding your low back. So you're hollowing out your belly just a touch. That's going to make the stretch in the biceps even more delicious and intense. And if it's already really delicious and intense, that's good. But if it's not, that's your next path. Is to think of the low ribs moving up towards the sky and then towards your hips, hollowing out that space between low ribs, navel and pubic bone. That area is just kind of inflating up. It's like if my hand was on your low back, you'd sort of press your low back up into my hand as the elbows lever down into the blocks. Last 2 breaths. Good, and then gently release that. Take the block once again between the heels, sitting back on it. And for our next stretch, you're just gonna take the hands in front of you. You're gonna turn the fingers towards your knees. So what I'm gonna have you do is come up on the knees first. So you're like in a mini all fours. And you're just gonna start navigating your way back down to the block, and you'll find that space right away where you feel the stretch. And then you're gonna kind of change your block so that it can support you in the place where the stretch is deepest. And you may need to do a combo of the blocks on top of one another. You need to get creative. So again, we're gonna take our time to set it up. So see, with you flipping your fingers back and you starting to lean back, where does it start to get like, and then just have the block supporting you there. Otherwise, there's a lot of ab work and core work and low back work involved with keeping us elevated if we're just in the air. I just want you to be able to completely focus on the wrist stretch. So using the blocks to support you is really nice. You do need to energetically hug the abs in to make the stretch a little less intense, right? We don't want to sink into the joints. Just breathe here. And even what we might call pain in this position is really just sensation. See if you can use your breath to make that bridge from pain to just a sensation that's happening in the body that either through gentle rocking or breathing, you can just move through, and it begins to change, it begins to dissipate. Just have that patience. And last breath.
Good, and then we'll peel the arms back from here. You can be sitting on your block tower, let the blocks go, just interlace the fingers and just make some circles with the wrists. Take the circles in opposite direction. Good. And for our final pose, we'll come to being seated on the blanket, and we'll use our blocks to elevate each of our knees. So again, if you don't have blocks, it's okay. You'll still get all the benefits of this practice. But if you have them, you're in something that looks like this. And then inhale, get very, very tall. Feel the sits bones ground down. Breathe in. You're just gonna take your right ear to your right shoulder, and then take your left hand behind your back. And then just get curious where an interesting stretch is happening for you. You may need to tilt the chin up, maybe look up, or tilt the chin down. And you can also do what I'm doing and just take half circles in each direction. Just making a semicircle with the head. And then feel your abs and your low back pressing into your forearm behind you. Knees are fully supported. And last breath, don't move the head. Use that opposite hand to press the temple up to sit. And then inhale, get long. Exhale, left ear to left shoulder. Good. Breathe into the side of the neck. And then take the right forearm behind you. Let the right shoulder be heavy. Just let gravity do a lot of extra work for you here. And then maybe moving on the breath, exploring where is interesting for you. So lifting the chin. Exhale, descending the head. Just tracing little half circles. Move really slow. And see if as you do these sort of therapeutic movements with the neck, if you could continually also bring your attention to your sits bones being heavy, your low ribs navigating to the space below your navel. And your low back energetically melding into your forearm. Last breath. Use that opposite hand, take it to the temple to press your head up. We'll stay in this seated position to close. Of course, you can take Shavasana on your own. If you prefer to lie down, if you're staying with me seated, just bring the hands back to prayer at heart center. Thumbs at the breastbone. Just feeling yourself supported by the blocks under your knees. Sits bones heavy, low back wide. When we bring our hands to prayer in this shape, this devotional gesture, just a reflection of our devotion to our practice and our own self-care. And let all the breath exit the body, nose or mouth. On your next inhale, breathe in deeply together.
Open the mouth, let it go. Again, breathe in, long, slow, deep, fill up all the way. Exhale completely. With gratitude for this practice, from my heart to yours. Namaste.